Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are, where you're watching this. We have Steve Hart with me this morning. It's morning where I am, where Steve is, because we're both in Florida. And the title that Steve selected today is an interesting one. It's a question. Have you been deceived? I can admit that I have been in my life, and upon examination, I bet you we all have. But I'm going to let Steve tell what he has in mind. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, as you will know, and you've divulged to your listeners, I am a professional magician by trade. Um, and I've been lucky to be able to make a living at this, but I do comedy magic, and that's the type of magic I have basically made my living from. But being a professional magician, I've had to learn the techniques of what a magician does and how it is that we create the magic. So that's what I want to share with you. I'm going to share with you a few inside secrets, so listen up. the um, the way people are deceived is really interesting. It's an art form, is what it is. To be able to deceive someone, it does take a skill and a foreknowledge as to how to do that. Now, when a magician performs, everybody assumes, or at least I assume, they know that what I'm doing is a trick. It's not real. And yet, believe it or not, some people do believe that what I do, and other magicians in particular, believe that it's real some form of magic. I remember the first time I sat in the audience and watched David Copperfield fly, just lift off the stage and fly around the stage in front of this audience. And afterwards, going into the lobby and hearing people saying, "Oh, how did he do that? It must have been real," or he was using giant magnets, or whatever it is they thought that he was using to make it create the effect. Even at that moment, I'll be honest with you, I was on the third row in this huge auditorium, and I still could not see how it was he was flying. And at that moment, I wasn't completely sure as how it is he was doing it, because he had done a few proving techniques to make me question my theories about how it is he was flying. Later on, I found out that my theories were true, and it was revealed to me how it is that they were creating these false um, evidence of proving that he was not attached to anything and flying on his own will. So we're going to talk about that.
Okay? So they didn't put a hula hoop over him to see if there was.
Yes, they not only put a big hoop over him, they put him inside of a glass box. He was still floating around inside the box. He took a girl out of the audience, picked her up, and carried her and flew around the theater with this lady out of the audience in his arms. I mean, it was just totally convincing that it was strictly an amazing illusion, and it was amazing, don't get me wrong. And for the years that he performed at, it was a phenomenal effect, And anyway, so the point is even I get fooled sometimes. And you know what the funny thing about it is, as a magician, I love to be fooled. I love to be tricked into seeing the magic and not knowing exactly how it's done. And for a professional magician, that's hard for me to have that experience. But I want to experience it just like everybody else. I want to see the magic. Now, there's a reason why that happens. It's because we enjoy the illusion. We enjoy seeing the illusion and having that experience. Now, what we assume, the assumption is when you're watching a magician is that he is deceiving you. And you release that feeling, that thought pattern, to enjoy the magic. Now, there are some who do not. Some are constantly see a magician as a threat, so therefore he's deceiving me, so therefore I want to know how it's done. And they're immediately not relaxed, and they're trying to lean forward and watch close and see how it's done, or question everything. And therefore they don't get to enjoy the magic, because if you do that, you'll not be deceived. You'll eventually figure out how it's done. So, now, if you want to not be deceived about anything in life, you have to do the same thing. Now, so there's a balance here, because I just said either the audience is going to be relaxed, or they're going to be moving forward, stepping in and trying to figure out what's going on and not be deceived. So they're going to tense up and try to figure it out in their mind as to what's going on. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about, there is a balance between being able to relax and to be able to be intensified or focus on not being deceived. So there's a balance here, right?
Yeah, we're walking in two worlds, and that's the challenge that we have.
That's
The
right.
world of magic or illusion,
That's right.
and the real world, which most of us don't see. But some of us sense that real world, even if we don't see it with all of our cognitive abilities.
And again, I will emphasize the fact that the human mind or the ego really enjoys this. It really enjoys the drama. And so you have to ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this what I want? Once you get to a certain level and you realize, you know what, this is not fun anymore. I don't like this. I'm not enjoying this. After a certain while, you go, wait, stop. I want to figure out how this is done. I want to know what's happening, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're being challenged in real life right now.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree that we're being challenged to look behind the curtain.
Yep.
and see where the tricks are being played and
That's
how
right.
they're being played on us, so that we can reclaim who we are.
Yeah, and now is the time for us to do that. That's what this whole shift is about. And the reason it's happening is because there is an awakening. Now, in this awakening, there is an experience of an awareness that we've never had before. And that's the reason why the deception is being exposed, the falsehood is being exposed. So let me get back to how a magician creates this illusion, and then we'll tie this into what's going on in our world and the Cabal's involvement and how they've been deceiving us, okay? So what the magician, first thing he does is he's going to create an illusion. Now, the only way he can create an illusion is based upon what you already believe is real. You understand what I'm saying? In other words, he can't create something false unless you believe in something that you ever experienced as being real. I'm going to use the example of a deck of cards. Okay, most people have played cards and are familiar with the deck of cards and the suits and so forth, and have shuffled a deck of cards and so forth. So, if the magician wants to create an illusion, he's going to assume that you know that what I just said about the deck of cards, but he could easily introduce to you, create an illusion with this deck of cards, because he knows how to manipulate the cards. Or another thing he can do is he can create a false deck of cards, or a trick deck of cards. As you know, you can go to a magic store, you can buy a deck of cards that looks normal, but it's not a normal deck. If I were to give you the deck and let you handle it, you would expose the card, and you would see the secret as to something that's going on here. That it's a false deck. It's a trick deck, okay? So the other thing that a magician does is he's going to create a false belief. And when he creates a false belief of making you think that regular deck, that trick deck of cards is a regular deck of cards, he's using the fact that you're believing that it's a regular deck, and you're not questioning it. In fact, so what he does is he actually mixes a little bit of a lie with the truth. So it looks like a regular deck. It's shaped the same as a deck. You see, if I had something odd, you would say, well, that's not a deck of cards. But when I make it look like a regular deck of cards, you believe it is. And there could be one little thing inside the deck that makes it a trick deck to make it work for me, okay? Because I'm the magician. I'm about to fool you, okay? So I've taken the truth of what it looks like a regular deck of cards and mixed a little bit of a lie into it, and now the stage has been set for me to move forward to the next step. So the next step is for me to give evidence that this is a regular deck. So I will shuffle the cards, or I'll flip through the cards, let you see some of the cards, and make you believe it's a regular deck of cards. It's not. It's a fake deck. I just didn't show you the fake part of the deck. I'm not showing you, I'm not laying all my cards on the table, as they say. Yeah, I'm not showing you everything. So if I have a trick deck in my hand, then I'm going to be able to easily deceive you, because you've already believed in the illusion. I've convinced you that's a regular deck of cards. Now that that's been set up, I can create miracles with that deck of cards. I can do some pretty amazing things. So that's basically how a magician creates his magic. I don't care if it's cards, or if it's a piece of rope, or if it's some other apparatus of some sort. I have a trick where I make a 2-liter Coke bottle disappear. And people talk about that in my show. What they don't know is it's not a real 2-liter bottle of Coke. It looks like it. In fact, you can go on my magic YouTube channel and watch me perform that trick. And now you know, I give you a little bit of secret, but you're still not going to know how it's done. But you, I can't believe I gave that away. Anyway, the point I'm making is that it's a deception based upon the truth, because that bottle looks like a real 2-liter bottle of Coke or Pepsi or whatever. Anyway, so you understand what I'm saying now about how it is that the magician creates his illusion. Now, another thing that the magician does, I forgot to mention, is what they call misdirection. Now, creating the false evidence or making the deck look real, that's part of the misdirection right there too. And the object of the misdirection is to remove all questions. And that's what, when you're watching a magician, he does not allow you to question much of what he's doing or what it is that he's using as a prop. So if you want to not be deceived, you have to question what it is that he's using, just as you do with anybody who's deceiving you, right? Okay. Now, back to the misdirection. Misdirection, you always heard the thing, you say, well, watch over here. The magician's making you watch here, but over here he's doing something else with the other hand. And it's true. It is true. We do use, put your attention up here as we do, and sometimes something else is going on over here. Now, just because you know that secret doesn't always mean you're going to catch a magician, because he's going to be artfully, skillfully be able to use this other hand to do things you don't know what it is he's doing. You've all seen the trick where I take a ball and put it in my hand and make it vanish and so forth. If it's gone, you're thinking, well, it must be in the other hand. Well, for some reason, it doesn't appear to be in the other hand. Why is it not there? Well, that's the skill of a magician being able to perform his magic. So, okay. So what I've given you is sort of a little premise here as to how, I wanted to mention another thing is about misdirection. When it comes to being deceived, it's very easy for the magician to do what he does. That's why the art form is done so well, because, as I said earlier, it's based upon the premise of what we believe. So the magic, get this now, the magic that I do takes place not in my hands. It takes place in your mind.
Wow.
You see the magic. All I do is create the illusion. And if I can create the illusion to make it look like it's real, your mind says, that's magic. There's an illusion. That's amazing. That's totally, I have no idea how you did that. Because in your mind, there's these gaps where you're not able to connect the dot to dot. And therefore you say, it's magical. And so is Mother Nature itself, the world itself. There's a lot of things in the world we do not understand. Explain gravity to me. It's hard to understand. Explain to me how it is your heart keeps pumping. What is it that keeps it going? They really don't know, There's a lot of amazing things that, now some of this stuff is beginning to be revealed to us. And I'm excited about this. As we are coming through this shift and this new awareness, there are things about science and life itself that we're just now beginning to understand, in quantum physics and vibrations and all those things, and healing through vibrational, and it's just amazing, the stuff that's coming on. I'm excited about it. And it's all magical in a sense. Now, the Cabal, or the elite, or the ones who are in control, that seem to be
magicians?
Or are magicians. They definitely are magicians.
So the church and all of the political stuff, the religious stuff, the political stuff that has captivated mankind for a long, long time.
Yes.
Really magic.
That's right. And in a sense, that's exactly what they're doing. They are using the techniques that I'm talking about against you, but you do not know that they're playing the role of a magician. I don't care if it's the court system, if it's the political system, if it's the pharmaceutical system. You'd be surprised how much magic is going on within the pharmaceutical system and all the other systems I just mentioned. I mean, there's a form of trickery going on. Now, the reason it works, though, let's go back to why does it work? Because you're believing that it's real. And they're using your belief system, your current belief system, to deceive you. So The truth is, we deceive ourselves.
Oh,
I know that's hard to accept. Huh?
oh.
I was right.
Well, we're in a system of deception too.
That's right.
What we contribute to it is what you
we
said.
were born into this system that was built around us. I call it the matrix of the machine, and it works very well to deceive us based upon our connection to this system through our ego. The ego is trying to protect itself, so therefore it conforms to the system and tries to. It's a defense mechanism, is what it is. And until we wake up and realize who we are, we will stay stuck into that system and into the illusion and to the belief of what it as though it's real when it's not. So, the Cabal has been using. Here's an example. How many of you have ever heard of the movie Wag the Dog? Came out about 10 years ago, maybe 15.
Yeah, I remember the title, but I know I never saw the movie.
Dustin Hoffman was an actor who played a movie producer, and the president was in trouble and on a political issue, and they wanted to create some distraction to get the people to look over here and not pay attention to what was going on with the president. And so they created this. They used this movie producer to create a false story that was going on and put it onto the national media. So everybody was talking about that, what their problem was, when it really wasn't even real, so they wouldn't pay attention to what's going on over here. It's called Wag the Dog.
They do that all the time.
They do it all the time. I think it's interesting that they made the movie to expose what their trickery was. That's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they've been doing. And as you well know, as I do, that when you hear something on the news that there's being a mass shooting over here, go look over here and see what's happening behind the curtain, because everybody's focusing upon that and all the drama that we get sucked into, and we're not paying attention to what's going on. Usually it has to do with the financial system or something along those lines, or some kind of political movement that's going on that they don't want you to focus on. So they put the news media focus upon this mass shooting, which in my opinion has been manufactured or created.
Oftentimes, yeah, they have the same people being shot each time in some of the movies, and it's come out by people that are sharp enough to compare this with that.
Let me just share with you something. Steven Seagal died of a heart attack just recently, and here's a man, 58 years old, in perfect health, and he ended up dying of a massive heart attack. And I'm going, whoa! But you want to know something? In the last year, Steven Seagal has been speaking out against some of these mass shootings, and he said that they were engineered. He was exposing the truth. I think he got too deep, and being his position in the in the public eye, I think they could have easily done away with him. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility. But I do know he was speaking out against some of the mass shootings, because being a martial art expert that he was, he has some questions and some insight, and I think that Jesse Ventura has done the same thing. He's been exposing some of this stuff. Anyway, so please understand that there is a lot of deception going on. We do play into it, okay? Now, I want to get into some scriptures that help give us some enlightenment to some of this, okay? Ron and I both come from a Christian background, so I'm going to give you a few scriptures from the Bible that talk a little bit about this. And in Matthew 24:4, Jesus is talking to the disciples about the end times. And he's telling them that we deceive ourselves, and we do not know how to discern what is true and what is not true, okay? And he makes the comment that we need to be able to, I didn't write the scripture down. I can't remember, I don't have it here in front of me to quote. But he's basically using the word to discern. And in the Greek, it's called plepo, I think is how it's pronounced. And it means to have the power to see. So if you need to discern what's going on in the world, you have to have the power to see.
Beyond the illusion.
Yes, beyond these eyes. He talks about the third eye is what he's talking about. That word, plepo, makes reference to be able to have the power to perceive, sense, or feel It's not just with these eyes, what you're seeing physically, but it's through the third eye. And you know there are other scriptures where Jesus is making reference to the third eye, by opening the third eye and the light coming within, because that is, it's very clear to me that that's what he's speaking of. Now, in the Old Testament, in Obadiah 1:3, God is speaking to man, and he says, it's a pride within your heart that has deceived you. And that word deceive in the Old Testament is nasha, and it means to lead astray or delude or seduce or to be tricked. So basically what he's saying is our pride has tricked us. Our pride has deluded us and seduced us. And that's how we get deceived. Now, okay, let's talk about pride. I mean, it's not like pride is not good in the sense that it's better than being stuck in fear or angry. Because what happens is you raise your vibration to a level of pride and you say, I don't deserve this. I deserve better. Because you begin to recognize who you are. So being proud does have value to it, but don't stop there. Because pride, the next level is courage, where you actually step in. Because see, in pride, you can say, well, I know this, and I know this, and I know this, and I'm not going to stand for that. But the question is, are you right? Is what you're saying true? When you step into courage, you say, I'm going to be courageous enough to be able to say, I might be wrong, but I know who I am. At least
honest enough to admit it when you have been wrong.
That's exactly right. And when you begin to step into the courage to say, I might be wrong, but I'm going to open myself up. You see, at that point in pride, you're still playing the victim role. You're still trying to protect yourself. When you step into courage, you let go of the victim role and you become into the creative role, where you actually begin to say, I am going to have enough courage to do something about it. And that's exactly what we're experiencing right now in this shift. We are now actually beginning to experience enough courage to be able to say, I'm not going to be the victim anymore. I'm not going to deceive myself. I'm not going to allow any other people to deceive me. I'm going to open my heart and be courageous enough to say, I might be wrong, but I'm going to listen to my heart. I'm going to open up my third eye. I'm going to go through this shift I want, because I'm becoming a new creation, a new creature. And that's when you go through this shift, that's exactly what happens. In James 1:22, it said that we are not to be doers, or we're to be doers of the word and not just hearers. If we do, we deceive ourselves. So that's what it says in James. And the word to be doers of the word, that word is logos. It means, and in the Greek, it means to be a gathering of thoughts within your mind expressed through words. Okay, you got that? Okay. Logos, in other words, to be doers of the word, is the gathering of your thoughts in your mind and expressed through words. Now, so we need to be doers of this word, of this collective consciousness, is what it is, and not just being hearers of it. It's one thing, you know, I know people who can quote scripture, who can talk the talk, but their lives do not live up to what it is they're saying, and they're hearers of the word, and they're deceiving themselves. Therefore,
and others,
and other people, and they're suffering because of it, and other people suffer because of it. So right. The whole idea is to not deceive yourself, to let go of this pride, because a lot of us, I'm just been just as guilty of spiritual pride. Well, what I thought, because I had all this knowledge of religion that I had, and I had to realize that, you know what, I could be wrong. I've accepted this as truth, and it's not. I was deceived into believing a lot of the dogma that was taught to me, and I had to let go of all that stuff. And it took me years.
A lot of us have gone through that of having to let go of what we believed absolutely was the truth.
Yeah,
realized, hey, it wasn't.
And you helped me do that, Ron. I mean, you've heard my story. I mean, it was during a period of time when I first met you that I had to learn to let go still more of my dogma, and with some of the things that you were sharing with me. So what I'm telling your listeners is, folks, it's going to be easier for you than it was for Ron and I, for you to let go of some of this.
Thank God it's getting easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
because the more people that take this trip and open up, the easier it is for other people to follow suit.
That's right. And our vibration is raising the vibration of the collective, and and that's why everybody's beginning to wake up the way they are at the numbers they are right now. The tipping point has happened a few years ago, in my opinion, and we're now moving into this higher vibration, and it's amazing. So those of you who are still hanging on to your old belief systems, when you're ready, and I say when you're ready because there's no reason to let go of your beliefs until you're ready. Because what are you going to? I mean, that would be insane to do something like that. But you have to open up your heart and your mind to accept what the possibilities of what is truth. You know, and so therefore, we're not saying to you to condemn your old belief systems until you're ready. You know, and once they no longer serve you and give you what you want, then that's when you're ready to let go. And that's what happened with me. You know.
Yeah. By the way, we probably have approximately 5 minutes. I did look at the clock exactly.
Well, I've shared pretty much everything I wanted to share at this point. I mean, I could go on and talk more about this.
No. And what you've shared is amazing. I mean, if people would only get it, the possibility of how easy it is to be tricked.
And I don't expect everybody to get it just from what I'm sharing, but I hope I'm planting a seed in your heart and your mind to start questioning things, and with the energy of love, and not doubt or fear. Because if you're coming from a place of doubt and fear, it's only going to give you more of that. But if you're opening your heart and knowing your desire to know the truth through love, it will come to you. Now, one more thing I want to close with. About 4 years ago, Spirit spoke to me something, and I have been holding on to it for some time, and it said, when you know who you are, everything changes. And it's true. The last 4 years, that the more I begin to understand as to who I am, I can no longer be deceived. Because when you know the truth, you know, like we know some of the truth about the sovereign man and so forth, about, you know, when we start realizing, you know, what the system had done to us as a straw man to incorporate us, you begin to say, wait a second, now I'm not going to play into that anymore. You know, I'm going to step into the matrix when I have to play, but I step right back out because I don't have to stay in that world. And so when you know who you are, the more you know who you are, it empowers you. And when that light comes on through your mind and down into your heart, and you start tapping into the source of love, and there's a knowing that nobody can ever take away from you. Nobody. I don't care. They can shackle you up, put you in jail. They can maim you until they kill you. You will know who you are. And I don't say that as a threat.
I hope we all don't have to go through that, what you described.
I'm agreeing with you, and I had a discussion with somebody this morning talking about the fear of that, and I said, here's what I know, and I just shared them what I just shared with you. At the same time, I do not believe, in fact, the cabal, the one world government concept of abuse is not going to happen the way that they want it to happen, and the reason why is because we're tapping in. We don't understand the energy of what's going on. We're waking up quicker than they thought, and when the curtain's been pulled back, there's no more illusion. You can't be deceived. And that's it. Your example was a great example. You know.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Steve. I think this is a very timely and wonderful subject to deal with, and it's something that I hope all the listeners take to heart. And Steve Hart, take to heart and really listen. Go inside and listen, because we are being centered. We are being led out of deception, right. And just being aware that we've been deceived is really the first part of it. Right. Until we are willing to admit that we might have been deceived, right. We aren't open to receiving new information that will liberate us.
And there's no condemnation. There's only love in that.
Right. So, well, thank you very much, and really appreciate it. Yep. I think we made it within the 30 minutes, although I didn't look at the clock when we started. So
I just go.
It's what it is. Thank you. And
thank you. God bless. Namaste.